everyone, and welcome to Friendship Bracelets Part 2. Last time we did 3 different bracelets. We did the braided bracelet. We did the fishtail bracelet, which is very similar to the braided one. And then we did the 4-knot swirl bracelet. And the reason I bring those up is because we are going to be using the 4-knot to make pretty much all of the bracelets that we have today. So this time we're going to be learning how to do 4 different styles of bracelets. We're going to be doing the candy stripe bracelet, which looks like that. We're going to be doing the ladder bracelet or the alternating knot bracelet. Then we are going to be doing the chevron bracelet. And we're going to finish off with the jellyfish bracelet, which looks like this. Now, for all these bracelets, you just use sewing floss like this, and you just knot it at one end, and then you have a long tail of different colors. Okay, so we're going to start with the candy stripe bracelet. And actually, before we do, we're going to review how to do that 4-knot, because that 4-knot is going to be used for all of these other ones. So the 4-knot is very simple. You take one strand, you make a 4 where you so it looks like the number 4. Then you take the end and you thread it under the rest of them. Pull tight and pull all the way up to the top. Okay, let's try that again. You make a 4. Put the one end underneath the rest of the strands. Pull tight and pull all the way up to the top. Now, if you keep doing it like this, this will be the 4-knot swirl bracelet that we did last time. Today, the ones we're going to do are a little bit more complicated, but it still uses that same basic knot. So if ever you get confused, that is really the basis of all of the bracelets that we're doing, is just that 4-knot. So you make a 4, you put the end underneath the rest of them, pull tight and pull up to the top. Okay. Now, to get started with our first bracelet for today, we're gonna start doing the candy stripe. Now, so here's our bracelet cross. We're gonna anchor it down on one end. So that you can pull. And that way you'll keep tension there. Then what you're gonna do is pull your strands apart so that they're each lying alone and separate out in front of you. Okay. Then you start at the left-hand side and you do the 4 knot only around this next thread. So you take this end piece and do the 4 knot around your second strand. Just that second strand. And do that a second time. Then you move this piece over and you move to your next strand. And you do 2 4 knots around that next strand. Then you move that one to the side. And with this same piece from the far end, you do another 2 4 knots around this strand. So you just go down the line, doing 2 knots around each strand. Until you get all the way to the end of the row. And then this piece that you started with ends up over on the right-hand side of your bracelet. Now the first row is going to look a little wonky, but it will straighten out as you do a little bit more. So then you go again back over to the left-hand side of your bracelet. You pick up the far left strand and you do the same thing, working across all of the strands. So you do 2 knots around each strand. Okay, once you get to the end of the row there, then you go back to the left side and you pick up the left strand and you go back across all of the other ones. So you just keep going in the same direction. So you do 2 knots around this strand. Move that one aside. Do 2 knots around this strand. Move that to the side. Do 2 knots around this strand. Move that to the side. Do 2 knots around this strand. Move that to the side and do 2 knots around your last strand down on the end. And then that strand that you were knotting with becomes the strand at the far right side. And then you go back and you pick up the far left side and you do the same thing over and over again all the way down the bracelet. I think someone new joined us as we were doing this first bracelet.
Yeah, it's me.
Hello. So you're joining us kind of in the middle here. So if you need caught up, I can explain what we're doing.
Okay, I have my own strand. I got my own thread. So,
Okay, so this bracelet, I'm using 6 strands, and I've got, for my example, I have 2 different strands of each color. So I'm going to have 2 rows of each color. The bracelet that we're working on is this candy stripe bracelet. And the knot that we're using is the same 4 knot that we learned last time. But instead of doing it around the whole thing, we're just doing it around individual strands. So I'm going to move stuff to the side so that you can see. So to make that 4 knot, you put your strand out across the strand that you're knotting around so that it looks like a 4. You take the end and you put it under that top part. Hold it tight and pull it up to the very tippy top. And then you go across the row, doing 2 knots around each strand. 1, 2, and then you move to the last one. 1, 2. Now I'm done with the dark green, and I'm going to do my blue strands. So I go over here to the very far left side, and I go one at a time down the row. 1, 2, 1, 2. My strands got all mixed up here. 1, 2, 1, 2. One, 2. Hello to whoever just joined us.
it's me again.
Oh, it's you again. Okay. Well, hello. Okay. I'm going to do a couple more rows, and then we're going to move on because these bracelets they take a very long time to do. So once you get the hang of them, we're gonna move on so that we have time to cover all of the bracelets that we're gonna learn today. By the way, if you're confused or need me to slow down or go over something again, I'd be more than happy to go over it again. Okay, I've finished my blue rose. So I'm back again to the start with the light green. And just like I did before, we start at the one end, do 2 knots around each strand. By the way I find it easiest to do it is I hold the strand that I'm doing the knot around, and I drape the strand I'm knotting with over, and then I pull the end through and then pull up. It's kind of hard to see, but that's the way I find it easiest. So I hold the strand, let me get these out of the way so you can see. I drape it over like that. Then I reach under, pull it through, and then pull it up. Drape, pull it under, pull it up. The tape that I'm using is not the best tape. So it's pulling up. There we go. Pull it tight. And then there we go. I'm going to do one more row and then we're going to move on. One. Two. One. Two. One. Two. One. Two. One. Two. Okay. It's going to take a very long time to do the bracelet, but this is the start of it. Ooh, it's kind of blurry. There we go. That's a little better. But you can see it'll continue. Excellent. Oh, look at you go. That's great. That's great. Okay. Now, the next bracelet that we're going to do is the alternating knot bracelet. And all it is just alternating between the sides. Okay, so you're going to do the 4 knot that we've just been doing, but we're going to switch the sides that we're doing it on. So this is the bracelet we're going to be working on. Looks like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull one strand to this side and one strand to this side. The rest of the strands we're going to leave right down the middle. Okay, and then just like the name implies, the alternating knots, we're just going to alternate sides. So we're going to start with this side and we're going to do our 4 knot around most of the other strands, all except for this last one over here, and pull it up to the top. Then we're going to switch sides and do a backwards 4 knot on this side. So we're going to do it going in this direction from over here, around all but that last. So I've got the colors that I'm using for this one. I've got a purple and a light blue that I'm alternating between. So the purple stays over here and the blue stays over to this side. The rest of them, I've got some dark green and some other colors. Those stay right in the middle. Those don't go anywhere. They just stay right in the middle. So we did a purple one, we did a green or a blue one, or whatever colors you choose. Now we're going to go back and do the purple again. And do the knot on this side. Then we're going to do the blue. And do this side. And we're just going to go back and forth, alternating the sides. This is actually a lot easier than the candy stripe that we were just doing. And it goes a lot quicker. When you pull your knots tight, be sure to pull them up to the very top. Your bracelet will look tighter and more put together if you pull your knots nice and tight up to the very tippy top. Oops. This one, the strands that I used are a little bit longer. Because these two that I'm knotting with they're going to run out sooner. Because they're the only ones that are getting knotted. Everything else is just going straight down. So with this one, you're just going back and forth, side to side, doing the same knot over and over. I'm going to go down a little ways so you can see what the bracelet's going to look like. Trying to go too fast here. Okay. So that one, as you're going, it's kind of hard to see in this video. You have one side that the knots going down this side are green and the knots going down that side are purple. And they meet in the middle. It's kind of out of focus. I'm trying to get it close up so you can see what it looks like. There we go. That's a little clearer. Yeah, there you go. And then you just go on and on until it is the length that you want it to be. Okay, the next one that we are going to do is very similar to the candy stripe. It's just a little bit trickier, but it's basically the same bracelet as the candy stripe. There's just one extra step. We're going to do this chevron pattern. So instead of being a stripe all the way across, we're going to end in this point down in the middle. So how this works, okay, I've got my thread and I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to maybe do it a little closer so you can see a little better. Okay. So I'm going to tape it down. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I have the colors that I'm using for this one. I've got a blue, a green, and a pink. And then on this side, I have the same colors, and I'm going to put them in the opposite order over on this side. So I've got pink, then green, then blue. Okay. So, and you can use whatever colors you want. Those are just the colors that I happen to have with me right here. So I've got blues on the outside, greens in the middle on each side, and pinks toward the center on both sides. Now, what I'm going to do is do my candy stripe going in from both sides. So we're going to start with the blues. And on this side, we're going to do 2 knots around the green and then 2 knots around the pink. So 1, 2 knots around the green, and then 2 knots around the pink. 1, 2. Now, this purple one is in the center over here. And so I'm going to do the same on the other side, doing the knots going in this direction to meet in the middle. So we're starting with the purple on the outside, and we're doing 2 knots around the green. 1, 2. And then 2 knots around the pink. And this is the alternated knot. So this is the 4 knot going from the other direction, like we did in the last bracelet. Okay, so now what we have here are the 2 purple strands in the center. The 2 strands that we started doing the knots with are both in the center. And we're going to do 1 knot going in one direction and 1 knot going in the other. So we're going to do knot number 1 from this side. And then with this strand, we're going to do knot number 2 going from this side. And now your purple strands are in the center, or whatever color you're using. Next, we're going to move to the whatever strand is on the outside now. In my case, that's green. So I'm going to do the greens on this side, 2 knots around the pink. Two knots around the purple. And now the green is in the middle. Then I move to my other side. And I do 2 knots around the pink. Two knots around the purple. Oops. Got all twisted. We're going to try that again. 1. 2. Now both of the greens are in the middle. So we're going to do 1 knot going this way. And then 1 knot going the other way. Oops. Now my pink strands should be on the outside. So just like the candy stripe, this takes a long time to do each row. So we're not going to do the whole bracelet. but we're going to do a couple rows just until we get the hang of it. So 2 knots around each strand, meeting in the middle, and then knotting around each other. So pink. Again, the tighter you pull the knots up to the top, the more your bracelet will look like the picture. You have to pull those knots nice and tight. Okay, now we're back to the start. So we're doing the purple strands again. So the purple strands are meeting in the middle. Then you knot around each other. Now it's the green's turn. I'm going to do 1 or 2 more rows, and then we'll move on to the last bracelet for today. And I am recording this, so if you need to see it again, the video will be posted online. Okay, so now the greens are in the middle. We're going to do 1 knot this way and 1 knot the other way. Okay, last row for this bracelet that we're going to do now. And when you're doing it yourself, you can go for as long as you want your bracelet to be. This gets tangled up. Okay. So we got going this way and then going this way. Okay. And then as you do it, your bracelet will get this beautiful chevron shape. Geez, this light is not great, is it? There we go. See how it comes toward the middle? There we go. Okay, now the last bracelet that we're going to do today is called the jellyfish bracelet. And it looks like this. And for this one, so if you pick up a bag of supplies at the library, I include this little wheel here in the little bag. And it's just a piece of cardstock. It's just paper. Cardstock is a little bit thicker than paper, so it works a little bit better. But it's just a circle with 8 different notches cut around the edge and a hole in the middle. So if you're doing this yourself, if you can grab a piece of paper and make it real quick, or you can just watch and see how it's done. And then you can do it yourself a little later. But just if you're making your own piece, just cut a circle in a piece of paper, and then cut 8 different notches all around the end, and then poke a hole in the center. I wrote the word start on one of the notches just so that there is a starting point that you can see. Now for this bracelet takes 7 strands. So because it takes 7 strands, I did the colors of the rainbow. So I did red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. But you can do whatever colors you'd like. Now, to get started, this is actually a really easy bracelet to do. It again takes a while. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the one end of the bracelet through the hole, and then you're going to put 1 strand in each of the slots, except for the start one. So you're going to leave the start blank. And you're going to put 1 strand, if I can separate the strands, in each of the notches around the circle here. So I've got red that I put here. Then I'm going to grab the orange one and put it in the next. Yellow, I'm going to put in the next notch. Green in the next. Blue, if I can separate it, everything's sticking together. Blue, I'm going to put in the next notch. Then indigo, if I can grab it. and then purple. So what it looks like is the one end of your bracelet right in the center of the hole, and then a strand in each notch around the paper. Then all you do is so there's an empty notch right here where it says start, and you're going to count up 3 notches. 1, 2, 3. So it's this notch here. The yellow is in this one for me. And you're going to take that thread from that notch and move it down to the start. Then you're going to twist your circle so that this empty notch is at the bottom, and you're going to count up 3 and move that down there. Twist, count up 3, move that down to the empty one. Twist it so that the empty notch is down at the bottom, count up 3, and move the thread there to the empty notch. Then you just keep twisting and putting the threads into the empty notch. The bottom will get kind of tangled, so you may have to comb it out every now and again. But it's a very simple bracelet to do. Twist, pull it down, and then I'm back to the start, and I do it all over again. Count up 3, move that down to the empty notch, twist, and you just keep going around and around, over and over again. And pretty soon, after you've done this for quite a while, you're gonna have, you're gonna start getting a bracelet coming from the hole in the center. So all of my threads have gotten knotted up. Let me unknot the threads a little bit. And you can do it as tight or as loose as you want. There's no, it doesn't matter how tightly you do it, or how loosely. But eventually you're going to get a pattern starting to form here. It does take a while before you start to see how it looks. But it does look pretty nifty once you've been doing it for a little bit. Okay, let's see. So you can start to see the bracelet forming as we go along. but it's going to end up looking really cool. So if you did not stop by the library, we still have plenty of bags of supplies. So if you would like, you can stop by the library and pick up a baggie that has a bunch of thread. And then I also include a little wheel so you can do the jellyfish if you'd like. I hope you have enjoyed learning how to do some of these bracelets, and I hope that you tune back in for our other programs that we're doing. Thank you guys so much for coming.